Hello and welcome everyone to the very first Newfound Market Mission. My name is Andrew Stabback and I'm the Managing Director of InAssociation. I have a lot of experience in producing over 700 financial markets events, a dozen magazines and daily online finance commentary over the last 20 years. And I've regularly interviewed the leaders of our 4 biggest banks, insurance companies and all of the financial service regulators. And can I say I'm genuinely very excited to be bringing you this virtual market mission with Newfound. The reason why I'm excited, and I've jumped to the chance of getting involved with Newfound, is that this virtual market mission is truly unique and it's perfectly positioned for the time that we now find ourselves in. So I look forward to being your MC for the next 2 weeks. Now that's more than enough about me. This event over the next 2 weeks is all about you, the participants. For those companies joining us for the full market mission, from tomorrow, we encourage you to meet the speakers following each session in the Meet the Speakers sessions we've set up here on Zoom. Feel free to use the virtual Meet the Speaker rooms as much as possible because it's incredibly valuable. Right, let's get underway. In Australia, we have a traditional ceremony to welcome you to country. So now I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the lands on which we're all meeting today and pay our respects to their elders, past and present. I extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples here today. As I mentioned, today marks the debut of Newfound's Market Mission program aimed at supporting tech companies on the cusp of going global in the middle of the pandemic, and that's no small task. This is the first in a series that caters to fintech companies looking to expand to Australia amid the coronavirus shutdown. And now it gives me great pleasure to welcome you to Senator Jane Hume, who is the Assistant Minister for Superannuation, Financial Services and Financial Technology, Parliament of Australia. Jane Hume, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you here today.
Andrew, thank you so much for having me along today, and thank you to Newfound, the Newfound Fintech Mission. What a terrific initiative it is. And of course, to all the fintech companies out there, the fintechs, the regtechs, the legtechs, and just the plain techs that are out there on this call today, and especially those who are looking to enter the Australian market, I want to say welcome. Despite the chaos of COVID-19, this is actually a really exciting time for you to be entering the Australian market and the Australian fintech ecosystem, and particularly for those of you that are based in the UK. We've got a number of crucial initiatives that are coinciding right now to make life easier for you as you set up, as you potentially set up here. The first, of course, is the launch of our consumer data right. The consumer data right builds on the UK's open banking regime. We've got the Australia-UK free trade agreement that's currently being negotiated, and part of that will be an expansion of the Australia-UK Fintech Bridge, which we've been working on for some time to help more companies make the transition from the UK to Australia, and of course vice versa. We also have the launch on the 1st of September this year of the Enhanced Fintech Regulatory Sandbox. It launched just last week, and that allows more companies, more different types of companies to test a broader range of fintech products for up to 2 years without applying for the relevant licenses. And finally, we have a range of all sorts of initiatives that I look forward to telling you about after the budget, which takes place in early October. So the Prime Minister of Australia, Scott Morrison, is very passionate about fintech. I'm the first fintech minister that he's ever appointed. And he was in fact the champion of the consumer data right. And when he asked me to focus on Australia's growing fintech system, he did so because he knew that Australia really has the potential to be a leading fintech hub in our region. And my job as Australia's first fintech minister is to ensure fintech companies entering and operating in Australia's market receive the support that they need to cement Australia's position as a global fintech leader and collaborator. We have a really unique ecosystem here in Australia. The product offerings are incredibly diverse. We have tremendous organic growth, and 3/4 of Australia's fintechs are already post revenue, and 1/4 of the companies have a year-on-year growth of over 300%. I'm very proud to say it's also a mature industry. We have a strong culture of collaboration here with both challengers and incumbents here and overseas. But at the centre of our focus, our fintech focus, is the Australian consumer. And my overriding objective across all of my portfolio, whether it be fintech, superannuation or financial services, is to help consumers become more engaged in their finances and their financial well-being, and restore trust in Australia's financial system. And of course, greater adoption of fintech means a financial system that's much more inclusive, it's more competitive, and it delivers better, more tailored products that meet consumers' needs. So with that in mind, we're focused on making available to Australian consumers the very best products that both Australia's market has to offer, but also that the globe has to offer. So on that, I'll turn it over to you, Andrew, and say thank you very much for having me.
Excellent. Look, thank you very much, Senator Jane Hume. Just briefly, we've got a time for just a couple of questions, if I may. I love the idea of a fintech minister. That's very exciting, and it's very exciting to be the very first. Just on the question of data rights, Australia is going into an open banking regime. Data rights are really important. For many of those that are offshore, they wouldn't understand what we mean by consumer data rights. Can you just unpack that a little bit for me? What does that mean, and what's going on in that space?
Well, the consumer data right in Australia has started with an open banking regime that somewhat mirrors the one in the UK. Essentially, your banks have an awful lot of data that's about you, but rather than the banks only having access to that data, it puts the consumer at the centre of their data ownership and allows them to take that data from the bank and share it with potential competitors and find a better product that suits their needs. That might cost much less. We know that switching home loans, you can save thousands in a year. By switching credit cards, you can save hundreds, but people tend not to do that because it's sticky. But once they own their own data and they can find those better products that suit them, they're much more likely to move and find a better deal. But the consumer data right in Australia doesn't just extend to banking, to open banking. In fact, I think we are the first economy that's going to open up an industry-wide consumer data right and roll it out progressively to different industries. So the next industry off the rank, next cab off the rank is the energy industry. We're going to move to telecommunications and superannuation and insurance, and essentially all those, for want of a better expression, grudge purchases, the ones that you put at the back of the filing cabinet. It's too hard to change providers. Make that switch far more easy. Put the customer, the consumer, entirely in control of their own data.
Excellent. Now, you mentioned superannuation there, and Australia does have a unique superannuation system. Could you just tell us a little bit more about what's going on in the superannuation space? It's been very busy, and I suspect there's a lot more to come. Is that right?
That is right, Andrew. And in fact, I could probably go on about superannuation all day because there are so many different aspects. I really won't. There are so many different aspects to it. But, Australia's compulsory superannuation system is around $3 trillion in size. And it's only about 30 years old. Well, at least it's 30 years old since we've had a compulsory superannuation system. It's only one pillar of our retirement income system. Of course, we have an age pension as well, and savings outside of superannuation, voluntary savings. But superannuation really is very unique. There are lots of players in the market, yet because it's compulsory, consumers tend to be disengaged. And it's one of those areas, because it runs under a trust structure, that there hasn't really been an enormous amount of investment in technology in this area. Add the consumer data right to it and encourage people to find a provider, find a super fund that better suits them. And you've got just endless opportunities opening up to great innovators who I'm sure are watching with interest right now.
Indeed they are. Indeed they are. Now, I've heard about this Fintech Bridge. Is this something, can you maybe explain that a little bit more? Is this part of an FTA with the UK that we're looking to unpack? I've got a Fintech minister, and now I've got a Fintech Bridge. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, the Fintech Bridge has been around for some years. In fact, it was first initiated by the Prime Minister Scott Morrison when he was the Treasurer. But it allows for collaboration between our two governments, financial regulators, and of course the industry itself. And the bridge helps Australian companies cross over to the UK, which of course is a much bigger market for us. But it also helps UK companies come to Australia, which, believe it or not, we're a much fussier market. You've got to have more than a sexy app before we'll take you on board here. But with that easier access to Australia, essentially it's like a sign saying we're open for business. There are unparalleled opportunities for investment, for skills skills swapping, and also using Australia as a gateway to Southeast Asia. You know, we are, an easy microcosm, a sort of a replicating market for Southeast Asia to go to Europe or to North America. You know, we're very small, but we're highly banked, very financially inclusive, quite digitally literate and financially literate. So we're a good sort of testing ground for Asian fintechs, and UK fintechs can come and take advantage of that connectivity between the Asian market and the European market. So that's really exciting. We want to expand it out a little bit further, widen the bridge, lengthen the bridge, invite different companies to join, perhaps establish a little bit more of a physical presence, particularly in the UK for Australian companies going over there, and potentially look at broadening it out to other markets too. I know that the UK, for instance, has a fintech bridge to Singapore. Well, wouldn't it be amazing if we could get a trilateral bridge going on, Australia, Singapore, Singapore, UK, UK, Australia, and how we could work that? I think that's a really exciting opportunity for the future.
Excellent. Now, with just the few minutes that we have left, and I mean 3, the jobs for the future and the fintech sector, I think there's been a misunderstanding that fintech doesn't always mean jobs growth, but I know, as I've done a lot of work in the sector, that inevitably it means fantastic jobs growth. You've got a chance to pitch to fintechs coming down here in Australia. What can you say about the skills and the jobs opportunity that are available for Australians, and also for people that are bringing their fintechs down here to Australia?
Well, financial services in Australia is a key industry. As I said, we have a very mature financial system already, and we're very digitally literate and financially literate. It's a terrific opportunity for companies that are coming here to test their products, use as a bit of a crash test dummy. But moreover, I think that it's that interesting opportunity to up skills, trade investment opportunities that I think that Australia really can provide, which is why we're quite unique in this region. So we'd like to see you guys come over here and use this as a launch pad, potentially to go to Asia, but we'd also like to learn from you as well. And I think it's that the opportunities to collaborate and to invest and to create, what's already an exciting industry, but see it mature even more for the benefit of consumers. That's what really excites me.
Excellent. Well, look, Senator Jane Hume, I'd like to thank you again on behalf of Newfound and all the participants that are joining us over the next 2 weeks. It's great to hear that there's a lot of activity going on, and we'd love to report back to you as to some of the successes. I wish you well.
I'd love that. Thank you, Andrew. I would love to hear some of your successes. Please make sure that everybody that's on the Zoom, keep in touch. We always like to hear the amazing success stories of companies that are coming to Australia.
And most importantly, good luck with that budget coming up. I know there's a lot of good information coming out of that. We wish you well. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Thank you, Newfound.
Well, thank you very much again, Senator Jane Hume. It's great to hear that they've got a minister for fintech, and it's great to hear that the area is getting a lot of attention for the government. You're going to hear a lot more about this as we go through the next 2 weeks. As we've got speakers representing different state governments around the country, also indicating that they're supporting the fintech sector very strongly. And we're going to go into a lot of detail about that.